While scrolling, you have definitely come across this type of ad. Did you know that creators are able to charge upwards of 1.5 thousand per video? In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you exactly how you can recreate this style and start charging premium rates yourself. Okay, so we're going to be creating Dny's reel again, but this time it's going to be a different kind of reel. It's going to be the reel that just got played. And we'll just get straight into it. So we'll start off with the first little scene here. So this just seems to be a white background, and then the ClickUp text along with the logo comes in. So that's what we're going to do now with the camera movement and the icons. The background isn't a complete white, so I'm going to create a radial ramp. So this is gradient ramp, radial ramp, and then set the black to the center. We're going to set the white out here somewhere, something like that. And then increase the blend with original to something really high. I'll go with 95. Now you can see how that's worked out. So I've just gone and imported the ClickUp logo, and we're going to position it around here. The text is just going to be ClickUp in regular Arial font, and then Control-Shift-Home to center the anchor point. Scale it up and move it to here. We're going to change it again, like I said, to Arial, probably bold, and the text like that. So now what we're going to do, we're going to select this proportional grid here and center it, so something like that. Turn off the grid for the second time. Now create a new camera, so layer new camera and position it to a null. Toggle switches mode, make all of these 3D except for the background, make the null 3D as well. Link the camera to the null, and now we're going to do the zoom in of the camera movement that was seen in the shot. So position keyframe, and then go a little bit forward, zoom in, just something like that. F9, pull out the graph, and something like that. Should do. Yeah, now the rest of the scene is just getting the position right of those. So I'm gonna P position here and P position keyframe here for the text. So the text is gonna come just a little bit afterwards, but anyhow, we're gonna come to here for the text and push it up. Come here for the logo and push it up even higher. Now we're going to select both, click selected, or position was fine, but bounce it 35. For the amplitude, decay can be set to 6. Now if we look at that, it looks pretty good. Could even decrease the decay, so something like 4. We'll just try to see what that looks like. Yep, so keeping it at that, like I said, select these, bounce it 35. We'll keep the decay at 4 for now, and we'll see how that looks. Yep, pretty good. I might just bring this in so it starts closer like that, and bring these two keyframes in closer to the second keyframe. Yeah, now we just gotta do the opacities. So opacity keyframe 100 over here, and we're gonna go to 0 right here. And same here, opacity 0 over here. And once you get a little bit forward, you go to 100, just like that. I think I will decrease So sorry, increase the decay a little bit because it does look a little bit off. So I'm going to go 6 and 6. We'll see how that looks. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. Yep, that looks pretty good. Now the next part is going to be both of these going up and then down. So you're going to actually need a null to move them up or down, one of the two, because if you try doing both just from the layer itself, it's going to have a weird stop at the top, which we can't afford. So I'm going to use a null and attach it to each of them for the upward motion. I'll show you what I mean now. So I'll create a null, I'll click here, layer new null, and I'll link this logo to the null. And what I'll do is when the shaking kind of stops, I'll click P for position keyframe, and then go a little bit forward and up with just like that, F9, and we're going to smooth the keyframes out, just like that. And for the ClickUp, I'm also going to create a new null and link it like so. But this time it's going to start a little bit after, so around here and around here we're going to go up even higher. And F9, do the same with the graph, just like that. And I'll play it back and see what it looks like. Yep, so now what I'm talking about is if I had done that just from the layer itself, you wouldn't be able to start the downward motion during the upward motion, because the position keyframe would have to end before you started the new keyframe. With this, it's linked to a null, so we can go over here and click P for position and start it around here, go a little bit forward and completely remove it out of screen. Or around here, we're going to keyframe the opacity anyways, but yeah, so these two can F9, and we're going to move the keyframes in something like that. Now that's what we were looking for, but it can start a little bit later, so I'm going to drag it out a little bit. Yep, that's what we were looking for, right? So doing the same for the text, just before the end, I'm going to click P for position keyframe, go a little bit forward and then bring it down just like that. Select both F9 and make the graph something like that. Yep, that's pretty good. Now we're going to opacity. Now we're going to keyframe the opacity of the ClickUp logo. So come here, click on the opacity keyframe and 0 over here. I'm going to move this a little bit closer to that last keyframe. But yeah, that's exactly what we needed. Now just do the same for the text. So keyframe the opacity over here and then 0 over here. Yep, that looks pretty good if I say so myself. Now the next scene is going to be the plus and the new text kind of come in and kind of move in with the ClickUp and text that we just created. So it's a good little use of motion by Danny there. And this little square behind it, obviously just for the effect of a button. So we're going to create that now. I'm just going to show you what it looks like first. Yep. So we're going to go back here, rounded rectangle tool, turn the fill off, and we'll make the stroke gray, so something like that. And we'll just create it here like so. Go into the rectangle path, increasing the roundness, so something like that. And 4 for the stroke. Now we will click the proportional grid, center it around here, but it will all depend on where that other text went. Yep, so making it 3D, scaling it a little bit down, and we're going to keyframe the position. So here, we're going to come a bit back and then go up on the Y. Select both, bounce it 35, and we'll keep it at 4 for now. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, I'm going to increase the decay, so something like 6. Yeah, that looks pretty good now. Obviously, just make it a little bit lighter with the stroke. Looks pretty good. Yep, now I'm going to increase the opacity here and decrease it over here. So just like we did with everything else, and then move it around. Yep, something like that. Now I'm going to add the text, so a plus and center the anchor point, make it 3D, scale it up. This is going to be just regular font. We don't want it too sharp, so something like that. And then decrease the size a little bit, center the anchor point, something like that. Duplicate it and write your text. So new for the text. This has to be way smaller, and we'll make this a little bit smaller too. Actually, like that. Yeah, so this comes in with the back little button. So I'm just going to do that now. Come to the end and then link both of these to the shape layer. We don't do it at the start because otherwise it's going to move in line with the button, but in the wrong way. So if I had come here and the new text was still over here in the center, when I'd linked it, it would come down to here, if that kind of makes sense. So it would follow the same path, but the starting point would be in the wrong place. You see how it's up there now? It would have been in the center. So it would move the same amount, but the wrong kind of positioning, if that kind of makes sense. Yep, so position, both these keyframes. And I'm going to go up on this one and up on this one too. I'm gonna select these, bounce it. For the parameters, we'll go 35 and 6 like always. And then for these, we'll go 35 and 6 as well. Now I'm going to make it so that the new text comes in after the plus, so what we've been doing already, just by selecting the keyframes and dragging it a little bit forward. Yep, now I'm going to do the opacities as well for both of these, so I'm going to T for opacity. Come here, make it 0, and go a little bit forward. We'll go 100 over here. Yep, that looks pretty good, I think. Now we just play the whole thing back, and yep, looks pretty good so far. Solid work. Now there's a animation of a button being pressed, so I'm going to import my... Now there's the animation of a button being pressed, so I'm going to import my cursor and do the animation after that. So keyframe the position around here, we're going to go down, so something like that. And for this, And for this, there's going to be another bounce, so bounce it, and 35. I'll see what to do with the decay afterwards. But yeah, actually the amplitude can be even less, so something like 15, we'll try that. And opacity, so start at 0 and come to here and make it 100. But the decay definitely has to increase. I'll start with 8 for now. Now what we're going to do is come around here, and this trick is going to be useful a lot. I'm going to split this layer right here, and right here I'm going to split these two texts as well, and so I split this layer and then attach this layer to this layer, so this becomes kind of a complex process. So for that rotation thing, I'm going to create a new null, so layer new null around here, and we're going to link the shape layer 1 to this null, and click R for rotation, keyframe that, and then I'm going to increase it just like that. But before I do that, sorry, I have to change the anchor point. I'm going to move the anchor point to the corner, so here, that's where you want the rotation to happen, because the corner is the opposite side of where the button is being pressed, so the cursor should be over here, and then the corner of the null, or where the rotation will happen, is over here. So the button kind of looks like it's going like that, instead of if it was in the center, the button would go like that. But if it's over here, the button will just go like that. So spreading it out, 6 and 40, we'll try for now. Yep, I've gone a bit too slow with that. I'm going to bring them in. Now I'm going to start this a little bit later as well. So around here I'm going to start it. And then it's going to come back down to 0 pretty quickly. And this one is not going to have, not going to need the bounce, so I'm going to click on it and F9. That way we'll play it back now. And yeah, looks pretty good. The only thing I could do, so we're going to decrease the amplitude of the bounce, so 25, and we'll go 7 here. I'm going to increase the time that this one takes, so going like something like this, and we're going to remove the bounce out of the equation for now. I'm going to start this a little bit earlier because it does look a little bit weird, and I'm going to increase this, so 35, and we'll go back to 6. Now we've finally got there after a lot of trial and tribulation, but now this is what it looks like, and we've got that, and we've got the button being pressed. I think the only thing that needs to be happening is the rotation needs to be decreased a little bit. So if I decrease this to something like that, we'll see what happens now. Yeah, it looks way better. And then there's a zoom in and quick zoom out of the camera, so I'm going to do that, obviously going to the null that's attached to the camera. That'll be null 1, layer new null, and making it 3D. So right here we're going to position around here, sorry, and then go a little bit forward and zoom in to the right where it should be, and that's what's in F9. Going to go into the graph, make it smooth just like that, and try going into the graph like that. So making a new null and linking it again. Position, and we're going to come here, zoom out, come back to the center. So F9 for that, and make sure the graph is good as well. Now the only reason his does look better so far is because I haven't toggled motion graphics. So if you want to do that, we can. So I'm going to go toggle mode and motion graphics for this, the text, the shape, all the other texts, and the hand cursor. We can see what that looks like now if we play. So if we play this back now, looks way better, but that's all because of motion graphics. And I usually like to save it till last, but it was looking a little bit rough, so I wanted to show you what motion. So I usually wait till the end to apply motion blur just because it does slow down rendering time, but it was looking a bit rough, so I decided what I'll do is show you guys what it looks like with motion blur, just so you don't think it looks shit without it. But yeah, that's why I decided to turn it on now. So with this zoom in of the camera, I'm going to increase the scale of this hand cursor. So I'm coming here, increasing it, so like that, and then decreasing it again to 0, and that's all going to have F9. Go into the graph, just adjust it like this. Yep, looks perfect. And the opacity of these is going to slowly disappear. So I'm going to select all of these, and with that zoom out, it's going to all disappear. So click on the keyframe for opacity here. And then come to the start of the zoom out. We're going to keep it at 100. And then just at the end of the zoom out, so around here, I'm going to bring the keyframes into here. We're going to make the opacity 0. It should be even faster than that, I think, so I'm going to come here. So it should be a little bit faster than that, so I'm going to drag these out, but then I'll cut the layers out fully just before that. So around here, and I'm going to cut them here and delete them. We'll just see what this looks like for now. So it was going to go from 100 to 0, but I've gone from 100 to like say 20, and then I've cut it off there because that's what he did. So, and it turned out pretty good. So we'll just play it back. No, it needs to be a little bit faster. So I'll cut it out here and see what that looks like. Yep, that looks pretty good, I think. As it was fading out, we've just gone and cut it during that process. So the next part, I'll just play it now. If we play this back in slow motion, we'll just see what it actually is. So the create text and then the list, all of these come in one by one, and they each have their own opacity keyframes and their own bounce for position. But what we can do is create one of them. So we'll create the create text, and we'll create the list text, and we'll create the track, task, projects, people, and more, and then we'll just duplicate these down and adjust the keyframes. So like one goes here, one goes here, one goes here, one goes here, just like that, and it'll be much easier than doing each one individually. And then what we'll do with the logos, we'll go to the end of the animation, so where everything becomes stagnant, and then we'll just link it to the text that it applies to, so the corresponding text. So I'm going to create the first text, so just like that, and 3D, make it, scale it up bring it here. This can be in bold. Scaling it a little bit down. But anyways, yep. So position, and I'm going to start by doing this with the position. Select both, bounce it. We'll go 35 and 6, just the default. This one, this has just like one kind of bounce. So to do that, got to increase the decay. So 8, we'll try 8. Yeah, looks like 8 would be pretty good. Yeah. And we'll bring these in a little bit earlier. Now I'm going to keyframe the opacity, so 0 here and 100 just past the keyframe of the last position because it's going to have a bounce anyways, and go to 100. Yep, that looks pretty good. And we'll just duplicate this for the list. Now to move it, you can't just go anywhere and start dragging it down because the keyframe will just because we'll just create a new keyframe. And even if we go to one of them and do the same thing, it's just going to change the positioning like that. So what you have to do is go to one of the position keyframes, drag your mouse across both, so selecting both, and then you can move it to wherever you like. Now the whole thing has just started and ended in the displacement difference of what you decided, if that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, then it will make sense soon when I show you by rinsing and repeating the same thing to create this little animation. But for now, I don't think this should be bold. It should be regular. And we're going to write the rest of the thing. So we'll start with the list and center the anchor point. So to center the anchor point, you got to come to the keyframe, select both, and then center the anchor point. So to center the anchor point, so we don't need to center the anchor point. And then scale it a little bit down. Now I'm going to actually position these a little bit to the left. So select both and drag it out around here. So right there. It looks pretty good to me. I'm going to drag these opacity keyframes out a little bit further as well. Just see what that looks like now. Yep, looks pretty good. Now list has been done, and I'm going to create the final text type. So duplicate this and then position it a little bit down, so using the trick that I told you, and write the text. So what was it? Track tasks, projects, people, and more. So just like that, we've done that, and drag it out, drag this one out too. So one keyframe at a time, just like that. Now this can be a different fill, so I'm going to drag it up on the scale here, just like that. Scale it down, so something like that would do. Position it right underneath the list, so come here and position it right under there. Even a little bit higher would do. Yeah, we still need to move it to the left a little bit more. So something like that. Looks good now. What we need to do now, duplicate this list layer, drag it above just for convenience, and get the position, drag it down below here. We're going to write folder as we just copying what Dny has done. Now, important to make sure that this actually comes after the other one. Now, important to note that all of this has a little linearly increasing graph. By that I mean the position starts after the before one. So like that, and yep, we've done good there. Now I'm just going to duplicate this track matte and more. So go into the position keyframes, see where we should have it. So one frame ahead, and I'm doing that just by moving the entire layer. Otherwise, if I just move the position keyframes, it's going to mess up the opacity keyframes as well. So we're just going to move the entire layer. What I mean by that is, if I go to the start, there's nothing here because I've moved the entire layer from the start a few frames forward, just for convenience sake. Yep. And now position, we want it. And now for the position of this, we want these lower. So I'm going to do this and move it here. Yeah, that's a little bit too much. So even lower like that. Yep, looks good to me. Now there's going to be these two lines. So get your pen tool, stroke can be like 2, and draw a straight line there, just like that. Make it 3D as well. 25 should be good, or actually even 45 looks good. Now we're gonna see what that looks like here. Yep, looks good. Position it even like that. Yep, and Control Shift Home to sync to the anchor. Looks good now. And for this, what we're going to do is so for this, what I'm going to do is come here and link it to the track tasks and money, etc., and then just move it a little bit forward. So over here, go 1 frame forward and move it like that. So hopefully it does its stagnation thing. That's the best I can do here. Yep. And now the opacity is going to go like that. I'm going to go 0 here. Now I don't know if that's worked, so I'm going to cut this out of the video and restart. Now I'm going to add the other text. So doc is going to be the next text, and just dragging it forward so that it's in front of this, so just like that, and selecting both keyframes, dragging it way down and writing the text. Now just see where this ends up. Yep, good positioning there. Just going to duplicate it a couple of times. So how many ticks are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 more ticks, so duplicating it 5 more times. And I'm going to go into this one and drag it out across 1, we're going to drag it down as well. So around here, I'm going to write the text as well. Dashboard. And then this one as well. Whiteboard. Then there's going to be another shape layer, so I'm just going to do that. Position this here, get it across, and drag it down by selecting both. We'll just see so far what's happened. Yeah, looks good to me. Now the last couple of texts. So this one's going to say form, and we're going to drag it down. And then this one is going to say imports. And the last one is going to say templates. Now we'll just see how that all played out. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I'll just position this a little bit lower, this imports text, and the templates I'll also just position a bit lower. Now we're good here. I'll come over here and position this one a bit higher too, and as well as this one, we'll position it a little bit higher. We're good. And for these icons, I'm just going to get them from Google. So the list icon, and I'll speed it up so that I have all the icons, and I'll show you what to do with them once I get them. So after a lot of time, I've finally got these icons here. So what I'm going to do is come to the end, so when everything kind of slows down, I'm going to link each one to its corresponding text. That way it will do all the movement by itself, and all we'll have to do is keyframe the opacities. Copy the opacity keyframes for each text onto the corresponding icon. So I'll show you how to do that now, and then I'll just run through the rest of them. So I'm going to go to folder, for example, the text, and we're going to click T for opacity, and come here, select both, and just like click over here for the corresponding icon, and Control V. So now if we look at the keyframes, so U to open up the keyframes, we can see that it's followed the same opacity as the folder text, because we've just copy and pasted the keyframes and applied them to the icon. So now playing it back, I think we've done that pretty well. Yep, that's that part done pretty well. So the next part is going to be a camera movement to the right, but there's also going to be like a little kind of zoom out, just a tiny bit of zoom out. So that's all going to this just like that, and click on P for position, and then what we're going to do is go quite a bit forward, so around here, and move to the right, but we're also going to move back a tiny bit, so just like that, and then select both, again F9, make a graph that looks something like this, and we'll just play that back to see how it all looks. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is actually move it to the right even more, because we need more movement than that. So we'll just play it now. Here's at the top, which I don't think looks too good, so we'll add a transition, we'll add a effect of our own to that text, but then the rest is just simple, so that other text, all of these other text is coming via opacity, and you can see there's just a little bit of bounce. So yeah, so it looks like they have come into the center of frame from the right, not only as the camera moved, along with that they've animated the top text, and then this last transition will be a bit difficult, but we'll get through it. So let's get back to the edit. I'm going to write create list, that's the top text over here, and I'm going to make it 3D, scale it up like that, center the anchor point, and then bring it over here. We're going to make it black, so fill black. Just going to scale it down a little bit too. That's pretty good. And for this animation, I'm going to add an animation of my own. So just going to add a blur one, and we're going to apply that. Coming to the end, I'm actually going to move this over here, center it using the proportional grid, right in the center here. And now for the position keyframes, because each one did have a wobble, so that means that they were positioned to start to the right and then came into the center with a bouncer effect. So I'm going to position this here and then start off to the right a little bit, select both and bounce it. We're going to go 35 and 7 for now. That did absolutely jack all. So position these closer together and move them across. So starting here, and we'll go like that. decay should be 5 maybe. Now I've got a little bit of shake. Yep, but we need to start this earlier. But we need to move these out a bit further so that it doesn't interfere with the actual camera. So what I'm going to do, because this is getting a bit difficult, I'm going to come here, and as soon as the other text is invisible, so at this point, I'm going to come to that null and create a keyframe, delete the other keyframe so that there's no more movement past this point, because it was getting a bit difficult to balance between the text bounce and the movement of the camera. So now we can just do the bounce and not worry about the camera at all. But for that, I need to position this in the center again. So right here, just make sure I'm in the center, roughly in the center. Yeah, and we'll position this here as well. Now we're going to position keyframe. We're going to create a keyframe there, and we're going to go a bit earlier, so something like that, and move this out on the X as well. Select both and bounce again. We'll go like 5 and 35 here. It has to start like a little bit earlier too. And for the opacity, we'll go 0 opacity here at the start, and then come quite a bit forward and go 100 there. So just see how that turned out so far. Yep, I think that looks pretty solid. I'm going to increase the decay quite a bit because I don't need that much bounce, so we're going to go with 7 for now. See how that looks. Yeah, I think that looks pretty solid. Now we're just going to do the exact same thing, copy and paste it down. So just select both keyframes for the positioning and write the new text. So it was name. Scale it up all the way, something like that. Because we can't actually adjust the anchor point because it will change the whole keyframes. So we've just got to work around it. So position has to be changed if it has to be changed. Just like that, we're going to position it right there. And this is going to get a change in positioning. So move it forward like that. And the opacity, move it forward as well. So like that. Yep, that little parallax has been created. Now for those little squares, run a rectangle tool. Create something like this, go into the contents, rectangle path, and increase the roundness. 70 sounds good to me. Decrease the scale a little bit. You're not meant to do this, but untick this and just increase the scale on the X. For shape morphing, I told you guys not to do it, and there is a reason, but if you have to, you just have to. So I decrease the scale on the X-axis. So for that rectangle, we're going to go around rectangle tool and make it wider, so something like that. The roundness already looks good, but just to check, contents rectangle tool, rectangle path 1. Actually, we'll increase it a little bit, so 57 looks good. Now we'll just position it where we want it. Just copy and paste this text from up here, bring it to the top, making sure this shape layer is 3D, sorry, we didn't do that. So if we bring it back here, we're going to have to scale it down, just like that, scaling it down, centering the angle point. Now for this text, go into the position keyframes, select both, and drag it way down until it's in line with here. Select all of these keyframes, drag them across like so. Yep, now I've got that sorted. I'm going to increase the decay even more, this is just getting too much. Now what we're going to do, we're going to link this shape layer to the text so that it comes in with it. Obviously going to do the opacity as well, so I'm just going to copy and paste these opacity keyframes. So copy and paste like we did in the other animation that we just created. Looking back, I'm going to decrease the scale of this a little bit, just like that. Position it rightly, so here. And then this can come up as well, so just moving this up using these keyframes, just like that. Now the next part, so space location, that's going to be the text. Just going to duplicate this name text. P position, go to one of the keyframes, select both, and drag it down. And we're going to write space. In brackets, it's going to say location, and we're going to close the bracket. So for the positions, keyframes, we're going to drag them way this way, so like that. Making sure to bring the opacity along with it, sorry. Like that. Now we're just going to duplicate these two, drag them up, and because the position only matters on one of them, the text, I'm going to select both of these keyframes and drag it down. That's because the shape layer is linked to the text, so it will move down with it. We're going to change the text here, so like that. Bring these keyframes, drag them across like so. Make sure to drag the opacity of these one too. Now I've got a good stagnating. Might have done a bit too much there. Drag it a little bit to the left. Like so. Now I'm going to copy and paste the text of one of these and then drag it down. So just like that. I'm going to write something like that. Looks good, looks good. And I think I'll just duplicate this text. Select the position keyframes and drag it down. Just to write something that we want. In this case, it'll be that. We're gonna scale it down too, so just like that. Positioning it correctly, so back there and up like that. Create that create that parallax error, so drag it across like that. I think that looks good. Now for these little two buttons, pretty easy. This only works because we created that. Just gonna grab the random rectangle tool, make a shape like that. Go into the parameters and decrease the roundness, so something like 10. Looks good. We're gonna make the fill a white, and we're gonna turn the stroke off. Now, to make this work a little bit better, we're gonna have to increase the blend with original. Now to make this look a little bit better, we're gonna have to decrease the blend with original. So I'm gonna start at 90. And I'll go down to 85. So the reason I'm doing this is because what this white being visible proves is that he didn't use a complete white for the background. Because if it was fully white, it would just blend in with the background and you wouldn't see you wouldn't see anything. But it wasn't, so that's the reason we can see this. Now I'm going to make it 3D with motion blur. We're going to drag it back to the center. Scale 50, I think. 50 looks good. And for this, I'm just going to add a regular text. So use template as a text, making it 3D with motion blur. And then just centering the anchor point and bringing it back to where it should be. So just like that. We bring it here. And now how I'm going to work this through is I'm going to position. I'm going to keyframe for position and keyframe for position here and drag this to the right. But when I get to here, I need to make sure that this is linked, so linking the text to the shape so that it moves along with it. Now I'm going to select both, bounce, and we're going to go 35 and 7. The opacity must also change, so come here opacity to 0, and then go out here, and then 100. Now come to the first frame, copy and paste those to the text as well. That's a pretty fast for the positioning, we're just gonna go into that layer and then move it across like that. Right here, make the fill a black, like so, and then what that means is you gotta make text white, but also we'll position it a little bit more correctly. So around here, this text will say create and for the position of this, actually we're going to select these both, click U to open up all the keyframes and drag them across. So it doesn't look the exact same as the other one, just like that. Now if we play this whole scene back, I think we've done a pretty good job. Yep, I think that looks pretty solid. Yeah, so I'm gonna wait until everything kind of stops moving, and then I'm gonna click on the P for position keyframe for the create list. So this is just the top one, and then I'm gonna base this keyframe. Everything else is gonna be based on this keyframe. So we're gonna go to about here, I think, and move it up like that. So select both and then F9. Go into the graph and smooth it out. So something like that should do pretty well. We'll just see what that looks like. Yep, that looks pretty good. Now I'm gonna have to do the null thing for every single one. But what I will do is keyframe every single one like the same. So P for position here, and then same distance, moving it up just like so. Select both, F9. You know what, scrap all of that. Okay, so because the up movement seems to be all the same, I'm gonna create a null and link every single layer to that null. But for the coming down, they all come back to the same place, which is where that template is. So what that means is I'm gonna have to adjust every single one on the way down, but that's okay because we can push through that. But the point is I'm going to link every single one to a null at the start to get the upwards motion. I mean, seeing this, it just shows like how much these guys put into their craft because I don't know how long you guys have been here, but I've been here for 2 hours and I'm still like halfway through the animation. So the fact that Danny was able to put out daily uploads like this is like hats off to him. Like, it's like crazy. Like, yeah, massive respect to Danny for doing this every single day. So I'm going to make a null for each of these, but before that, I'll just make the positioning so that it goes up um, for each of them. So you want to go stagnating. So, like by that I mean you want to go in order. So the create list at the top will go up first, and then the ticks below it, and then in order just like that. But I'll just make it so that they go up all kind of the same at the same point, and the second point is the same distance away for each of them, and then I'll just drag and select all the keyframes like one by one, kind of, if that makes sense, and move them forward. So yeah. So yeah, now from this point I just stagnated. So what I mean by that is I'll go to this create list one, and it will be here. Like it'll start and finish where it is already. But then for this one, I'll move it a frame across, and then as I go down, I'll just go one frame across for each one so that it starts later. And it seems to be the same thing, but now the tricky thing is you're gonna have to create a null for every single layer, because otherwise, if you create one universal null and position keyframe it so that it goes downwards, what's going to happen is these ones down here aren't even going to have moved yet. The text down here, and they're already going to start coming down, and it's not going to work because they need to go up first before they come down. But the only other thing is with this animation, they all come down to the center, like over here, just below this white little button. They all come down to here. So what that means is each one needs a different null because it's going down by a different magnitude. So I'll just show you like doing it with the create list. So I've created a null just for this create list and I linked it. Now what I do is I come to the position of this, so the position keyframe for the text, and then about halfway I'm going to position keyframe this, and then just past. So the same amount of distance between those position keyframes I'm going to keep between these ones, and then this one is just going to go down, like way down to about here, I'd say. And then we're going to select both and go F9 and go into the graph, and just like this, we'll do that. Let's see how it looks. Yep, looks pretty good. Maybe could even extend this back keyframe a little bit more, just so it's not so fast. Yeah, I'm gonna move this a little bit across, so maybe here, just for this first one, because the bottom ones start coming in. Yeah, maybe a little bit closer, and I'll make it so that it starts later, like so. Yep, like that. And we're just going to do the same for the other ticks now. I'll just show you what I mean. So get this one, layer new null, link it like that, and maybe a little bit further across with a later, with a different ending. So yeah, just around there. Doesn't matter too much because the opacities are going to fade out anyway, so you're not going to see it too well anyways. So just like that. And then the name needs a null object. I'm actually going to keep these all in the same line for the null, just because we don't want it to have a like ramping up effect. We just want it to be finishing up at the same time. So yeah, I've just done that. It's taken me about 10 minutes. Should take you about the same. I've just created a new null for every single one, and the last point, so this point over here, has all finished at the same rough location, and the first point has all started at the same time, but we've just had to change the displacement. You can see why one null wouldn't work because each of them had to move a different distance. I've just forgotten to do this one, but no. And this guy, he's also faded each one out individually. Like, what I mean by that is he's faded out the top ones first and the bottom ones last, just the same as he's done with the positioning. So we'll do that, I guess. But what I'll do is I'll because this isn't like the positioning, so I'll just select all of them. So every single layer, T for opacity, and then move the zero across, and then just like one by one, just move every single one one frame across.
I'm going to take a photo.
Yeah, let's take it. I'll pause this. This has just turned about a bit weird, so I'm going to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these keyframes closer, so each one's going to just come in like closer. So like that, for example, and over here too. These are okay, but these ones kind of have to finish a little bit earlier. Okay, so this text part's actually going to be the opposite. So what I mean by that is, whereas we did from up to bottom, so the ones at the top went away first. In this next part, the ones at the bottom are going to come visible first, and the ones at the top are going to basically become visible afterwards. So yeah, we have to make the assets for the next part and then do the editing for that next part as well. So we'll do that now. So I'm just going to create this little black solid here, just like that. Make it 3D, add some motion blur, and we're just going to drag it over here to the center like that. Scale it down, we'll go like 25 maybe. A little bit larger, 40 will do right. Text is, so centering the anchor point, Control Alt Home, and coming to the fill, making it white. I'm going to scale it up and bring it over here. And I linked it. I linked the text to the thing in the back, but I'll just unlink it now for this new text that we're going to write. And I'm going to make this a little gray, kind of. And we're going to center it here, scale it up as well, so maybe 125 on the scale, and enter to bring it down a layer, bring it down a line, and just using spacebar I'm going to center it. So what I think feels right is about there. Control Alt Home, centering the anchor point again. We're going to change the text here. We'll make it Arial. Arial bold will do fine. Just centering the anchor point again. Basically just duplicated that text layer and made it larger, nothing too much to make that bookmark text, and just been centering it, just using this proportional grid here, probably centering it right here. Just like so. Doing good so far. The project is slowing down a bit, so I'm going to delete all the layers that have kind of disappeared. So I'll come down here, and these layers can actually disappear as well. So this comes up. Yeah, so at this point you can delete every other layer that we don't actually need. So all the way up to here. We're just gonna delete. And now it's running a bit smoother. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over here, and I'm just gonna do the opacities first, and we'll worry about. Okay, so I'm gonna do the positioning now. So I'm gonna come here on this one because this text is linked to this layer, and I'm just gonna position it here, and around here I'm gonna go up a little bit, something like that. Select both, position, bounce, and we'll go 35 and say 7. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, even like more, so maybe 9, I want to say. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And we'll just do the same for this one. Only problem is, just gotta change how much it, the magnitude. So 35 and 8, for example, here. And that was that text. So this one will come in even later. So like that. Select both, bounce 35, and we'll go 8 again. Select both, just bounce again with 35 and 8 again. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And for the opacity, it's just going to be the same stuff. So 0, and then we'll just go a little bit further and go 100. So like that. And I'll just do the same for every single one and then just stagger it out. 0, come over here, this one 100. Just like that. Yep, I think we've done that scene pretty well now. Nearing the end of the tutorial, so you're still hanging in there. Pretty good. The next part is this little kind of swipe to the left. Literally a new set of kind of stuff comes in, so all we need to do is I'm actually going to duplicate these 4 things. So this, and this, I'm going to duplicate it and drag it up here. And I'm going to click P for position, and I'm going to delete all of these keyframes. And I'm literally going to drag them to the right, so over here. Just like that. And positioning this back to the center of that black button, the text. And now we'll just keyframe the position of these. So one by one again. P for position. And I'll just see how long after does it stagnate. Around here, I'm gonna click P for position on all of them. Just like that. But except for the text, because the text is linked to that back layer. So I'll just find that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So P on the position. Just keyframing it here. Going a little bit forward. And then removing these out of frame. Just like that. I'll just see if that's quick enough. Yep. Selecting all the keyframes, F9, going into the graph, and then dragging the graph to the center like so. Let's check how that looks again. Yeah, I gotta drag this to the center like that as well. Yep, now you come to the tip, so here, and then, sorry, first we've got to like make it one by one, happen one by one. So I'll just follow top to bottom because he's done it like that. So this one stays here. The keyframes for this one go a little bit across. Keyframe for this one go a little bit across from that. And the keyframes for this one just go a little bit across from that. Yep. Now I've just got to find the peak of all of these and Control Shift D and backspace to delete the rest of it because we don't want the rest of it. We're going to opacity it out, fade it out. So Control Shift D, fade it out. So cut it out. Control Shift D, cut it out here. Go to this graph, go to the tip. Control Shift D, cut out. And now all we've got to do is do the opacities. So I'm just going to set it for this one and then move them across respectively. So 100 here and then 0 here. And that's for that one. And now I'm just going to move these across like so. Just like that. Just like that. This one to here. Now I'll just play it back, see how it kind of looks. Yep, looks good. Now I've got these. What I'm going to do with these is move these in. So around here, I'm going to select the position keyframes of all of them except for that text. So this one, nah, and then P position. Center them back over here, just opening up the functional grid, making sure they're in the center, like so. And I'm just going to come around here maybe, and then drag them over here. So like that. And then these guys already have their own bounce, so no problem there. But I'm going to, if I look at this, originally did, I'm going to stagnate it. So this top one comes in first, this comes in afterwards, and then this layer comes in after that. I've forgotten to duplicate this text, but we can do that now. Just like that. Just clicking P for position here and dragging it over here in between these, or if that doesn't work, we'll just do it there, and then making it longer, obviously extending it quite a bit. The final positioning is obviously here, and we're gonna copy the opacity keyframes once we do that part, but just leave it at 100 for now. And the position keyframe there, and then over here it will be like that. Just see what that looks like right now. Yep, looks good. The only thing is I don't think it's in the center, but we can fix that really quick. Yep. Now I'm just going to do the opacity thing. So just select all of these, T for opacity, and delete the old keyframes just by going on this stopwatch here, clicking that deletes all the previous keyframes. So we're going to click it back again just to reset and go to 0. And then we'll come all over here and we'll go 100. Just seeing if that looks right. Looks about right to me. And then so creating that little staircase ramp up effect where these ones come in after the ones above them, and then these two obviously coming together right at the very end. Yeah, I'll probably even make the gap bigger between these opacity keyframes, just so it's a little bit more clear. Yep, looks pretty good. Now all I'm going to do is just change what the text say and the icon. So that's just basic stuff. Just changing that icon. Replacing it with another one. So to make it easy, I'm just going to come to the end here and then basically copy and paste these position keyframes for the new document. So I added this icon and I'm going to copy and paste the keyframe from this book. So copy that, paste, to copy, and then paste, just like that. And copy and paste the opacity keyframes as well. Now I'll just make sure, I don't know if I've done that right with the opacity. I need to move it across for the opacity. But other than that, I'll just have a look and yeah, so the only thing that needs changing is the bounce. So I'm going to bounce it, and the parameters, so 35 and 6, we're going to add those. And now it's followed the exact same path. Now we can delete the book and change the text. So document, and this text below, just read what it says. Simple changes. And just check if that's all right. Yep. And down here, yeah, that's all for this little scene right there. We've done it pretty well, I'd say. And I've kind of forgotten the camera movement, so I'll just do that now. Basically, the camera movement is this, between this transition, there's basically a camera movement backwards. So I'm going to create a new node, layer, new node, and 3D, and then link it. So right here, I'm going to click P for position, keyframe, that right there, and it's just going to be a back movement. So over here, we're going to go negative 1,000, something like that. Maybe too much. 350 might do. Yeah, it looks much better. So F9, and go into the graph, select both keyframes, bring them closer to the center for a little mountain graph. Yep, and that's perfect. Right on that transition, we've got the peak of the mountain. That's perfect. And for this next camera movement, it's 2 zoom ins. So what I mean by that is between this transition, there is a movement that's forward. So P for position, I'm just going to use the same null for now. And I'm actually going to bring it over here. And we're gonna zoom in. So back to 0. We'll hold up these 2 keyframes. So grab onto them and then bring them to the center. Yeah, I don't know what's happened there. Yep, looks pretty good. Only thing I would do is, because these kind of like are in sync, right? So this and this are basically in sync. So I'm going to move this out a bit. Yeah, that looks much better. And the next part is this little text that kind of moves in to frame, and then it turns into these shapes which move across. Very nice into this click up text. Very nice by Danny there. We'll get onto that. It's very simple to recreate, but yeah, I think they need a little bit more time. I've misjudged how quickly the animation needs, how slowly the animation needs to be done. Sorry. So these need to drag out quite a bit actually. Even more will do, all the way to the end there. And now we'll go into the grass, and just past this halfway point, we're going to cut it for each of them. We're going to do that. Yep, that's what we were looking for. Right. So now T opacity, I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to go 0. But this one can come in a little bit more, and then obviously just dragging it across like so, just like that. Looks amazing. The next text, so add anything as 2 separate texts because they come in at different points. So we're gonna make them separate, and these are the things that no one like pays attention to. Like these are the intricate details that separate, you know, the best, like Dny and stuff, the best from the average guys. These guys get paid thousands to do their craft, and you wonder why, but then you break down a tutorial like I'm doing right now, and you realize just how much attention to detail there is behind this craft. So yeah, over here, around here, the text becomes fully transparent. So I'm going to go 100 there and 0 over here. A little bit further across. But no, yeah. A little further. And for the positioning, I'm just going to position that there and then right, move it to the right, like that. Bouncing, just like that. Yeah. For this one, the decay is going to be a little bit higher, so 7. Looks good to me. And this one's going to come in afterwards, so opacity can be 100 there, and around here it can be 0, but it comes in real fast. So positioning there, and then all the way over here, I'm going to bounce, and I'm going to go 35, and we'll go 9. Just see what that looks like. Maybe even bring this closer and this closer. Now we'll just see. Yeah, not so far maybe, because it's got a bit too much bounce. But nah, the opacity can be moved further across. Yeah, looks good. Looks good. Really good. Only thing is I'll add a bit more space between these texts. Really good. Next part, the add text goes up, the anything text goes down, and they both transition into this white little, whatever you want to call that, pill layer. We'll just do that right now in After Effects. Yeah, they both go at the same time. I was just double checking that. So around here, P position, and then a few frames forward. This one goes down. This one goes up. I'm going to open up the proportional grid just to see how correct I am. Yep, so just above this top line and just below this bottom line. And selecting both, it's going to F9, just like that. We're going to do that with the graph. And right here, I'm going to cut it. So both of these can go. Actually, before that, I'm going to position the white, the text. Actually, yeah. I'm going to text that. I'm going to create that white fill. So white, and again, this is where you realize that the background isn't actually a perfect white, because if you can see this white, it's quite different to the one line. But anyways, just like that, we're going to create the anything text. The whiteness above the anything text, and this whiteness above here. Notice how it is a bit smaller because the text is smaller. And selecting both. Sorry, we're selecting both. I'm going to make them 3D and turning on the motion blur. So yeah, scale it down. Normally you don't want to adjust the scale, but for right now it's fine because we're not messing with it. So yeah, now what you want to do is copy. So for this one, copy these keyframes and paste them onto that. Only thing is, I would just move the starting position to there. So what I mean by that, you got to be really careful with this. The only reason I was able to move the starting position is because A, I've got these both selected, and B, I'm at one of these. I think I've already talked about this, but this is really important. If you want to move the starting position and keep the same movement, you have to be at one of the keyframes already, and you have to be holding on to both, so selecting both before you make that change. So selecting both, copy, paste, and opening it up. This one was pretty much perfect already, but yeah, now we'll just take a look at what that looks like. Yep, it's exactly what we were looking for. Exactly what we're looking for. Now I'm going to go into the peak, so right here, holding shift, I'm going to select both of these, and then control shift D, delete, and control shift to open these, split it, so control shift D to split, and then select both of these, so holding control I'm going to click on this, and then holding control I'm going to click on that, delete. So what this means is after this point that white stuff is visible, and before this point the text was visible. So I'll just play that back and show you what I mean. Yep, that's exactly what we wanted. And the next part is the movement to the center. So what I mean by that is going a bit forward, and this one goes to the right, and then this one goes to the left. So just like that. I'm going to open up the graph, select these two, make it a center pyramid, almost there. Yeah, just like that. Perfect. Now you'll notice that the bottom one got smaller, but from the right side, so that just means that the anchor point was on the left side. So imagine this: the anchor point is here, and we've got this book. So the anchor point's here, and if you decrease the scale from this point, it basically comes in smaller like that. And if it's like this small, so if it's like a tiny thing and this anchor point is at the bottom left corner, it becomes bigger like that. So how do I explain this? You've got this, right? The anchor point's in the center. If you press S for scale and then scale it, so make it larger, it's going to go uniformly bigger. Let's just pretend that it's still a circle and it's just become bigger. But with squares, what you can do is you can set an anchor point to a corner and then scale it, it will go that way because the anchor point is here. I hope that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is set the anchor point to there. So using this tool up here, I'm going to drag the anchor point to right here. And now what I'm going to do is go into the contents and the rectangle path, and I'm going to unlink it so that I can just make the X smaller on the X-axis, and not on the Y-axis. So right here, I'm going into the wrong one. Right here, keyframe, and then coming over to here, I'm going to make it smaller. I did the anchor point for the wrong one, I just realized. So the problem with these shapes is when you do change the anchor point, it doesn't apply to the rectangle itself. So unfortunately, we are going to have to change the scale, which is something you should never do, but we've got no other option. So unlink the thing here for scale, and then come over here, and basically just make it smaller like that. Yep, and then pressing F9, selecting these, and just like that. Yep. See how that's gone smaller. And the final step, so opening up the position keyframes, the final step, I'll just move this over to here, is going to be bringing them up to the center. So dragging this up, sorry, and then bringing this down. Just like that. And we're just going to make sure that this graph is perfect. So, so just like so, right there. Yep. Perfect. Now I'm just going to add the text. So again, this time it can be all one text because it's just going to be bubble. No, sorry. This time it can't be another one text. So making it 3D and scaling it up. Control Alt Home. Centering the anchor point a little bit too big. Just like that. Copying the position keyframe on this. So copy and make sure you come to the first one because that's where it pastes to. So it's like that, opening it up and centering it over here, which means yep. But the only thing is we're going to bring this and then select both and click, holding Control click so that it removes the easy easing because we do want to bounce it. And while it's easy as you can't bounce it, so 35 and 6. Probably even going to bring the keyframe closer and decrease the movement, so increasing the decay to do that. Yep, we've got it now. So opacity 100 there and 0 here. Just gonna see what's happening over here. I might just bring these earlier because it doesn't seem to be locking in with that. Because over here we're going to delete obviously this, and then add the text. So maybe 100 here and 0 there. I'll just see what that looks like. Nah, so I think what I've done is I messed up a little bit with the position of this. I think I'll just make it closer to the final. So just like that. And then this way we don't need to opacity keyframe this. We can just straight up delete it. And I'm going to delete these keyframes there as well. I'll just see what this looks like. Yeah, I'll have to open up the graph like this. I might just delete it right here and then drag this out here like that, and then bring these keyframes, this first keyframe here, like there. Yeah, looks much better now. Yeah, and then do the same, so duplicate that, and all you got to do is move this one up and then select both and move them across. Change the text up. I'm going to see what that looks like. No, not too high. Just there. Yeah, just moving it across as well. Perfect. Perfect. Delete this at that point. Perfect. I'm gonna stagnate it as well, just to take the piss. No, sorry. I'll just keep it like that. And the final step is coming to this point and deleting the background. So there we are. That all that means is go change the filter white. Here and here. And now we're gonna go into the nulls for the camera. So layer, new null, and making it 3D. We're going to come here and go forward and zoom in. Yep. F9. Select both of these and just like that. I'm going to check these being in the center because I don't think they were. Right. Yeah, they're not in the center. What I'm going to do is move them to the center like that. Because you ideally want these to be in the center when that camera movement happens. And then create a new null. And then the zoom in is going to be crazy on this one. And just like that. And then add your Instagram. I'll add my Instagram there. Scale it up. Make it 3D. Only thing is, because it's long gone, we're going to position. I'll start at 5,000 here. Yep. Brought it up to 5,000 because it's long gone. The camera's long gone. Centering it. Maybe even 4,000. I'll try to see if 4,000 works. 3K. Yeah. Looks good at 3K. Delete. Yeah. And it'll just come in at this point. So just make it appear at this point. Yep. And you can even press S for scale and then come over here and go 500. And then select both and then scale, bounce. Now let's go 35 and 4, see how that looks. Yeah, looks good in my opinion. What I'll do is I'll add like a slow zoom so that it just keeps zooming in. So new null, sorry. and linking it. And over here, actually I come here and then move forward and then a slow zoom. No easy easing needed. Just see what this effect does. Yeah. To remove this double effect, like what I mean by that is this previous camera has made it its own effect, and then this other one is getting ruined because up until this point it's still being affected by the other camera movement, and then once it is not no longer, the change stops, the change decreases, sorry. So to fix that, I'm gonna come over here, and as soon as this text becomes visible, I'm just gonna keyframe just like that, and then delete this last one. What that will do is smoothen out this other one. So yeah, that's all for this tutorial, and I really want to see what you guys come up with in terms of following along with this tutorial. So as soon as you guys finish following along, I'm not too sure how long this video is going to be. I haven't edited it yet, but it'll be close to 1.5 hours. So once you finish following along with this tutorial, play it back a couple of times because you'll miss things, and obviously while you're editing you have to play back and forward play and backwards. So take your time, really nail these basics, and then we'll start getting into the complicated stuff afterwards. But yeah, that's all for now. Let me know what you want to see next, and other than that, I'll see you in the next video, I guess.